Hello, Virgo. Look at you. Just look at you, standing here. After everything, still whole, still you. Welcome. This message has been waiting for someone exactly like you. There is a particular kind of person who arrives at a certain point in their life and something has changed. Not in their circumstances necessarily, not in the external landscape of what they have or where they are, but in something much more fundamental, something that cannot be taken away, cannot be diminished by anyone, cannot be shaken by circumstances. They know who they are, not who they were told they were, not who they became to survive difficult seasons, not the version of themselves that was shaped by other people's fears or other people's limitations or the world's persistent attempt to make them smaller, more manageable, less of a disruption to everyone else's comfort. The real version, the one that was always there, beneath everything, waiting, patient as stone, certain as gravity. That one. You have found that one. Whew. I want to talk about what it means to know who you are, because I think it is misunderstood. People hear it and think it means certainty about everything, having all the answers, never doubting, never questioning, moving through life with the unshakable confidence of someone who has never been tested. That is not what it means. Knowing who you are means something far more honest than that. It means that when the doubt comes, and it still comes, you know where to return to. When the fear arrives, and it still arrives, you know what is underneath it. When someone tries to tell you who you are based on their own fears or agendas or limited vision of what is possible for a person, you have a reference point, something internal, steady, real, that says, no, that is not me. I know what I am. That reference point is the most valuable thing a human being can possess. And you have built it through everything you walked through every test, every stripping away, every season where everything external was uncertain and you had nothing to hold on to except the most essential truth of yourself. You held on to it. Now I want to talk about the victory, because this message uses that word and I do not use it lightly. The victory of a lifetime, not a win, not a success, not a good outcome in a particular situation. A victory, the lifetime kind, the kind that does not expire, does not get taken away when circumstances change, does not depend on anyone else's recognition or validation or agreement. This victory is yours already, not because of what is coming, not because of what is forming on the horizon, but because of what you already are right now, in this moment, with everything you know about yourself that you have earned through everything you survived. The external victory, the circumstances shifting, the recognition arriving, the abundance flowing, all of that is coming, and it is real, and it matters. But the deepest victory already happened. The moment you stop needing the world to confirm who you are, before you were willing to believe it yourself. Um, I want to speak now to the specific quality of what you know about yourself, because I think you need to hear it reflected back in someone else's words, not to learn something new, but to feel confirmed in something you already carry. You know that you are not ordinary, not in an arrogant way, in the most grounded, honest way. You have always sensed it, even when the evidence did not support it, even when your circumstances pointed in the opposite direction, even when the people around you could not see it. Something in you maintained a quiet certainty that you were here for something real, that your depth was not accidental, that your capacity to feel and perceive and endure was pointing towards something, even when that something was not yet visible. And I want to say something about that certainty, because I think it is the most underrated thing about you. Most people, when the evidence contradicts their sense of themselves, choose the evidence. They let the circumstances overwrite the internal knowing. They say, if I were really what I thought I was, things would look different by now. And they shrink to fit the story that the evidence seems to be telling. You did not do that. You held the internal knowing, even when the external did not confirm it, even when the wait was long, even when doubt was loud. You chose the knowing over the evidence, again and again, as many times as it was asked of you. That is the rarest kind of faith. Faith in yourself, without proof, without confirmation, without anyone else telling you it was justified. And it was always justified. There are things you will not do, ways you will not behave, lines you will not cross, regardless of what is being offered on the other side of crossing them. And that has cost you in real ways, in opportunities that required you to compromise what you were, that you let pass, not without grief sometimes, but without betrayal. You never betrayed yourself, not fundamentally, not in the ways that matter, and you know that you are capable of love. Real love, the kind that is not conditional on what is being returned, the kind that shows up even when showing up is costly, the kind that sees people, really sees them, and chooses them anyway, with full knowledge of their complexity, their imperfection, their humanity. That love is one of the most powerful forces you carry. Whew. Now let me speak to what the external victory looks like, because I said it is coming, and I meant it. And I want you to have a clear picture of what to look for. Things that were stuck are moving. Situations that were unresolved are finding resolution. Doors that were closed are opening, not all at once, but steadily. In the particular way that things move, when someone has finally aligned themselves fully with who they are and stopped investing energy in things that required them to be less than that. You have that alignment now, and it is producing movement in every direction that matters. There may be financial improvement coming, a shift in how resources flow toward you, proportionate to the value you bring, which has always been considerable. but was not always reflected in what you receive. That is changing. There may be relational victory coming. Recognition from people who matter. Connection that meets you at the level of who you actually are. Rather than requiring you to shrink to fit, the right people finding their way into your life at exactly the moment you have the capacity to receive them fully. There may be professional recognition coming, the world catching up to what you bring in whatever arena you have been building in, quietly, consistently, without the applause you deserved. All of it is in motion. I want to address something directly now, something that people who know who they are still struggle with. Because knowing yourself does not make you immune to everything. You may still feel the pull of doubt sometimes, still hear the old voice that tries to talk you out of your own worthiness, still encounter people who do not see you clearly, and feel the old familiar sting of being underestimated. That is human, and it does not contradict the victory. The victory is not the absence of those moments. It is knowing what to do with them, feeling the doubt, and returning to yourself anyway, encountering the person who cannot see you, and not needing them to, hearing the old voice and recognizing it as old, as no longer the authority on who you are. That is mastery, and it is rare, and you have it. I want to leave you with something that I hope you carry long after this message ends, long after today. The diamond in the title of this message, that symbol, is not accidental. Diamonds are formed under pressure, extraordinary pressure, the kind that would destroy most materials, the kind that lasts longer than seems survivable. And what comes out of that pressure is not broken, is not diminished, is the hardest, most beautiful, most enduring thing in the natural world. You are what comes out of pressure, not despite everything you went through. Because of it, formed by it, made more brilliant by it, more clear, more certain, more completely yourself than you ever could have been without the pressure that formed you. This is your victory, all of it. The person you became, the knowledge you earned, the unshakable reference point you built, the love you maintained, the values you kept, the faith you held when holding it made no logical sense. All of it. Victory. You know exactly who you are. And that is the most powerful thing in any room, in any relationship, in any chapter of any life. Now go live from it.